American freedom apparently stops right at your front porch. If you want to remodel a kitchen or fix a roof, you have to navigate a maze of pure bureaucratic insanity first. Today, we are exposing 50 of the most absurd, brain-melting laws about building and renovating your own home. You are about to discover how quickly a simple remodeling project becomes a federal crime. 1. If you are building a new house in Vancouver, you can completely forget about installing traditional, round doorknobs. Since 2014, the city has strictly mandated the use of lever handles on all doors in new construction projects. The law was originally passed in the name of universal design and accessibility, which is a noble goal. But it essentially turned the classic spherical doorknob into a piece of architectural contraband. 2. Constructing a massive, luxurious mansion on Waldron Island in Washington state sounds like a dream, until you realize you will be fighting your family for bathroom access. Local ordinances strictly limit any building to a maximum of 2 toilets. It does not matter if your house has 10 bedrooms or is the size of a shopping mall. The regulation is a sneaky way to prevent high-density population growth and preserve the rural environment. So you can build a massive estate, but you better be prepared to wait in line every morning. 3. Adding a hidden bookcase door that leads to a secret bedroom is every homeowner's ultimate architectural fantasy. Unfortunately, local fire codes absolutely hate your sense of mystery. Building regulations strictly mandate that every official bedroom must have a clearly visible, unobstructed path of egress for emergency responders. If you build a clever hidden room to sleep in, a city building inspector will instantly fail your renovation. Your childhood spy fantasies are officially a massive fire hazard. 4. When building your custom dream house, you might plan to save money by living in a cozy camper on the property during the construction phase. Think again. In most American municipalities, living in a recreational vehicle on your own residential lot is strictly outlawed, even temporarily. Code enforcement considers them illegal dwellings. You must pay double by renting a separate apartment while your new house is built, simply because the city refuses to let you sleep in a legal vehicle on your own dirt. 5. Thinking about moving your comfortable old living room sofa onto the front porch for a cozy outdoor seating area? If you live in Boulder, Colorado, that aesthetic choice is completely illegal. The city banned upholstered furniture on porches and in front yards, primarily to stop college students from setting couches on fire after big sports victories. Because of a few overly enthusiastic football fans, the entire town is legally restricted to sitting on hard, uncomfortable patio chairs. Are you ready to sacrifice your comfort for public safety? 6. If you are building a custom home in many strict American subdivisions, you can actually be sued for copying your neighbor's homework. Bizarre anti-monotony ordinances explicitly ban you from using the exact same exterior design or floor plan as the houses immediately next door or directly across the street. You are legally forced to choose a different facade, roofline, or paint color. Does enforcing mandatory uniqueness actually make a neighborhood look better, or just artificially inflate the construction costs? 7. While homeowners associations across America love to ban clotheslines to maintain a pristine, uniform neighborhood look, the state of Florida made that ban entirely illegal. Under their right to dry law, no local ordinance or HOA can stop you from putting up a clothesline and letting your laundry flap in the warm southern breeze. It is a rare, surprising victory for energy conservation over strict neighborhood aesthetics, legally protecting your absolute right to display your drying underwear to everyone driving down the street. 8. If you are building a brand new house in Austin, Texas, a single tree might completely dictate your entire floor plan. The city's incredibly strict heritage tree ordinance legally protects specific ancient trees. You cannot simply chop them down or even build too closely to their delicate root zones without risking massive fines. Architects literally have to design bizarre, U-shaped homes just to physically curve the expensive building around a stubborn old oak tree that the government refuses to let you touch. 9. Until relatively recently, if you set up a simple barrel in Colorado to catch rain falling from your own roof, you were stealing from the state. Strict water rights laws dictated that all precipitation belonged to downstream users, making off-grid rainwater harvesting during a home renovation an illegal act of water piracy. They have since relaxed the rules to allow exactly 2 rain barrels per household, but the state still strictly monitors the water falling onto your own property. It is your roof, but definitely not your rain. 10. Buying a historic listed building in the United Kingdom guarantees you will own a piece of beautiful history and that you will probably freeze all winter. Preservation laws are so incredibly strict that replacing original drafty single-pane windows with modern, energy-efficient double glazing is completely illegal in most cases. The government would literally rather force you to wear 3 heavy sweaters inside your own living room than let you slightly alter an aesthetic window frame from the 18th century. 11. In 1992, the United States government federally banned installing standard 3.5-gallon toilets during any home renovation, mandating low-flow models to conserve water. But early low-flow toilets were absolutely terrible, requiring multiple flushes just to clear the bowl. This bizarre legislation created an actual, literal black market where frustrated American homeowners would cross the Canadian border, buy classic high-power toilets, and secretly smuggle them back in the trunks of their cars. Are you really willing to risk becoming a porcelain smuggler just to get a functional bathroom in your own house? 12. If you are remodeling a kitchen or bathroom in Chicago, you are strictly banned from using cheap, modern PVC plastic pipes for your water supply lines. The city's building code stubbornly mandates the exclusive use of traditional, expensive copper piping. Why? For decades, the local plumbers union fiercely lobbied to keep plastic out, because installing copper requires specialized welding and significantly more expensive manual labor. Your personal home renovation budget takes a massive hit simply because the city refuses to enter the 21st century of standard plumbing technology. 13. Repairing a leaky roof in the United Kingdom sounds like a standard weekend project until you unexpectedly uncover a bat. Under the incredibly strict Wildlife and Countryside Act, if you discover a bat roost in your attic, all construction work must instantly stop. It is a major criminal offense to block their entrance, move them, or even slightly disturb them. You literally have to hire an expensive ecological consultant and patiently wait for the bats to decide to leave on their own. Who really owns your house, you or a protected flying rodent? 14. Renovating your home on a tight schedule is basically impossible in Germany if you plan to get any serious work done over the weekend. The country strictly enforces a legally binding quiet time known as Ruhezeit. If you dare to turn on a power drill, hammer a nail into a wall, or use a loud saw inside your own house on a Sunday, your angry neighbors can and absolutely will call the police on you. Your grand remodeling plans are legally paused once a week just so the neighborhood can enjoy absolute, uninterrupted silence. 15. In the beautiful, historic Newtown district of Edinburgh, picking out a fresh paint color for your front door is a high-stakes legal gamble. One homeowner recently painted her door a cheerful pastel pink and was instantly hit with a formal legal notice from the city council. Strict conservation rules dictate that all doors must be painted in dark, muted, traditional colors. She was threatened with a massive £20,000 fine if she did not strip the paint immediately. Is historical accuracy really worth destroying all your personal creative expression? 16. Nothing says cozy quite like building a roaring fire in your newly renovated living room. But if you are building a house in certain counties across California or Colorado, a traditional fireplace is strictly outlawed. Due to highly aggressive air quality regulations, you cannot legally install a standard wood-burning fireplace in any new construction. You are completely forced to settle for a sterile gas or electric insert. The classic smell of burning wood and the natural crackle of real logs have been totally legislated out of modern home design. 17. Imagine buying a prime vacant lot right next to an older house, only to be legally told you cannot build anything taller than a garden shed. In England, a fascinating law called the right to light dictates that if a neighbor's window has received uninterrupted natural daylight for 20 straight years, you cannot construct any structure that casts a permanent shadow over it. You literally have to redesign your entire home's architecture, shaving off roofs and corners, just to ensure the guy next door keeps his perfectly illuminated living room. 18. Want to build an epic, sprawling treehouse in your backyard for the kids? In Washington, D.C., you literally need to hire a licensed architect. The city legally classifies elaborate play structures as official outbuildings, subjecting a simple wooden tree fort to the exact same rigorous zoning permits and structural engineering inspections as a detached garage. It absolutely crushes childhood whimsy under a mountain of expensive, bureaucratic government paperwork. 19. Building a simple wooden staircase in America requires the obsessive precision of a master watchmaker. According to the deeply specific International Residential Code, the vertical height of every single step on a flight of stairs cannot vary by more than 3/8 of an inch. If a strict building inspector measures your newly built custom staircase and discovers that one single step is just half an inch taller than the rest, they will legally force you to rip out the entire expensive structure and start over. It is a terrifying level of structural micromanagement. 20. Tearing down an old shed in parts of rural Nevada requires a terrifying level of arachnid awareness. Certain counties mandate that before demolishing any wooden outbuilding, you must legally have the structure inspected and cleared for black widow spiders. If an infestation is found, demolition is completely halted until a professional exterminator neutralizes the threat. The county would literally rather pause your entire backyard renovation than unleash an angry mob of highly venomous spiders into the neighborhood. 21. If you want to build a house in the historic districts of Santa Fe, New Mexico, throw your modern architectural blueprints straight in the trash. The city strictly mandates that all new construction must perfectly mimic the traditional Pueblo Revival style. This means your brand new house is legally required to feature flat roofs, rounded edges, and be painted in officially approved shades of brown stucco. It is a strict government-enforced illusion designed to make a brand new property look 3 centuries old. 22. In the rigid world of American real estate codes, a room simply is not a bedroom if it lacks a closet. You could build a massive, perfectly insulated room with gorgeous windows and a huge bed, but without that tiny built-in box for hanging clothes, you are legally just renovating a very expensive hallway. This bizarre classification dramatically impacts your home's resale value. You literally have to frame out a tiny, useless 2-foot closet just to legally call it a 3-bedroom house. 23. Building a new brick home in the coastal city of Brighton, England, means you are legally obligated to provide free housing for insects. Under a highly unusual local planning law, all new buildings above 5 meters tall must integrate special bee bricks into their exterior walls. These are standard construction bricks riddled with tiny holes, specifically designed to serve as nesting boxes for solitary bees. Would you be thrilled to share your expensive new exterior walls with a swarm of buzzing roommates? 24. Upgrading your front door in Florida is not about curb appeal. It is a matter of strict hurricane survival. State building codes absolutely require that all exterior doors on new homes must swing outward, rather than inward. A massive hurricane wind can easily blow a standard inward swinging door right off its hinges. The outward swinging mandate ensures the wind actually pushes the door tighter against its frame. It is brilliant for storms, but terrible for welcoming guests without hitting them in the face. 25. When you buy a piece of property in New York City, you might assume you own the space straight up to the sky. You would be completely wrong. The city operates on a complex system of air rights, meaning the empty space above your roof is a highly valuable tradable commodity. If you want to add a 3rd story to your historic townhouse, you have to ensure you actually own the invisible air above it first. Developers routinely buy empty space from neighboring churches just to build a taller skyscraper down the block. 26. Erecting a fence just to annoy your neighbor is legally recognized as a serious offense in Rhode Island. If you construct what the state defines as a spite fence, a massive, unnecessarily high barrier built purely to block someone's view or irritate them, you can be sued and forced to tear it down. The law requires genuine malice to be proven, meaning the court has to determine if your landscaping choices were born out of pure hatred. It turns a simple backyard renovation into a bizarre psychological investigation. 27. Choosing new exterior lighting during a home renovation seems like a personal choice, unless you live in Flagstaff, Arizona. Because the city is home to a major observatory, it strictly enforces a dark sky ordinance. You cannot legally install bright LED floodlights or upward-facing landscape lights. Your property is restricted to dim, low-pressure sodium lights, casting an eerie yellow glow. You sacrifice a brightly lit driveway purely so a scientist 3 miles away can see a slightly better view of a distant galaxy. 28. Building a sleek, modern house on a tiny city lot gets incredibly complicated due to mandatory parking minimums. In countless American cities, the building code strictly dictates that every new house must feature at least 2 off-street parking spaces, even if you do not actually own a car. You are legally forced to sacrifice valuable living space or a beautiful garden just to pour a giant, empty concrete slab for imaginary vehicles. The city cares more about your car's housing situation than your actual comfort. 29. Turning a dark, spooky New York City basement into a rentable apartment is an absolute legal minefield. The city strictly dictates that a basement room cannot legally be considered a habitable space unless exactly 1/2 of its total floor-to-ceiling height sits above the outside street level. You could dig out a massive, gorgeous underground bunker with perfect ventilation, but if it is too deep in the dirt, the city considers it an illegal dungeon. Who knew a few inches of dirt could dictate your rental income? 30. Building a luxurious backyard swimming pool in certain progressive jurisdictions comes with a tiny, bizarre legal requirement. You must install a wildlife escape ramp. Biologists realize that frogs, mice, and salamanders regularly fall into steep-sided pools and drown. So, building codes were quietly updated to mandate these small, angled platforms at the water's edge. You are paying a massive premium to build an elegant aquatic oasis, and the law forces you to add a tiny, floating staircase just for local amphibians. 31. Replacing your manicured grass with a practical front yard vegetable garden sounds like a brilliant, eco-friendly home renovation. But for decades in Miami Shores, Florida, growing your own tomatoes in the front yard was completely illegal. The city officially classified vegetables as a massive neighborhood eyesore, threatening homeowners with daily fines of $50 until they uprooted their fresh produce. Does a perfectly green lawn really matter more than your right to grow healthy food? 32. Building a trendy, minimalist tiny house on your own private land is the ultimate off-grid fantasy. However, in countless American counties, this minimalist dream is absolutely illegal. Strict zoning laws mandate a minimum house size, often demanding at least 1,000 square feet of living space. Local governments are terrified that tiny homes will instantly lower surrounding property values. You are literally forced by the government to build and maintain a larger house than you actually want or need. 33. If you are renovating a bathroom in the United Kingdom, standard wall-mounted light switches are strictly prohibited. Thanks to incredibly cautious electrical regulations, any switch inside a bathroom must be a ceiling-mounted pull cord, or the wall switch has to be located entirely outside the room in the hallway. The logic is to prevent wet hands from touching live voltage, treating every citizen like they might casually decide to lick a socket while taking a bath. It is incredibly inconvenient, but perfectly standard across the pond. 34. Be extremely careful where you try to cool down in Ridgeland, Mississippi. The city decided that window air conditioning units are a crime against neighborhood aesthetics, specifically banning them from being installed on the front of any house. You can sweat through the sweltering southern summer, or you can drop thousands on central air, but do not even think about ruining the street view with a practical, boxy cooling machine. Aesthetics clearly trumped human comfort here, leaving residents to quietly roast behind their perfectly unobstructed front windows. 35. Tired of mowing a massive front lawn? You cannot just pave the whole thing to create a giant, convenient parking lot for your family. Cities like Los Angeles strictly enforce permeable surface laws. You are legally required to leave a specific percentage of your property as unpaved dirt or grass, so rainwater can naturally absorb into the ground. If you try to completely concrete your front yard, The city will literally force you to bring in jackhammers and smash up your brand new expensive driveway. 36. You might want to build a gorgeous custom brick mailbox to match your home's newly renovated exterior, but federal regulations might destroy it. The United States Postal Service rigidly dictates that a mailbox must be exactly 41 to 45 inches off the ground. Furthermore, many local highway departments explicitly ban solid brick mailboxes, classifying them as deadly, illegal hazards for off-road drivers. Your beautiful masonry project could be legally bulldozed by a snowplow. 37. Installing solar panels is a fantastic way to upgrade your home and drastically lower your energy bills. But if you live in a strict neighborhood, your homeowners association might legally block the installation simply because they think shiny panels look ugly. For years, neighborhood committees successfully banned renewable energy to preserve roofline aesthetics. While some states have finally passed laws to protect solar rights, many homeowners still have to fight expensive legal battles just to harness the sun. 38. You cannot just build a massive, cozy, windowless home theater room and legally call it a living space. Standard building codes feature a strict natural light mandate. The total glass area of your windows must equal at least 8% of the room's total floor square footage. If your newly renovated bedroom is too dark, the city legally classifies it as a storage closet. Would you ever buy a luxury house if you knew the government was meticulously measuring your glass to calculate your property taxes? 39. Erecting a simple chain-link fence is the cheapest, most efficient way to keep your dog safely in the yard. But if you try to build one in the front yard of a modern suburban neighborhood, prepare for serious legal trouble. Countless city ordinances outright ban chain-link materials in front of a house, classifying them as industrial blights that destroy neighborhood charm. You are legally forced to buy expensive wood or decorative iron just to maintain an aesthetic standard approved by city bureaucrats. 40. Deciding to paint the ugly, outdated exterior brick of your historic home a fresh, modern white seems like a smart renovation choice. However, in historical districts across the country, painting unpainted masonry is a massive legal violation. Preservation boards argue that once brick is painted, it is permanently altered and traps destructive moisture. If you lift a paintbrush without an official government permit, you can face thousands in fines and be legally forced to sandblast your entire house back to red. 41. Shoveling snow is the absolute worst part of winter, so installing a luxurious heated driveway seems like a brilliant home upgrade. However, if you live in the ski resort town of Park City, Utah, that dream is officially dead. The city passed a strict energy conservation law that completely bans the installation of new heated driveways. They decided that melting snow with electricity is a massive waste of the grid's power. You are legally forced to freeze your hands and grab a plastic shovel. 42. Upgrading your kitchen with a heavy-duty, commercial-grade stove seems like a chef's ultimate fantasy, right? Well, in many residential zones, installing a true restaurant-style range is an absolute fire code violation. These massive appliances lack the required residential insulation, meaning they can literally burn your wooden cabinets to the ground. If an inspector catches you harboring an illegal commercial grill, they will red tag your kitchen. Are you really willing to risk a house fire just to boil water 3 seconds faster? 43. If you are lucky enough to renovate a historical property in Charleston, South Carolina, do not even think about messing with the haint blue porch ceilings. While originally a superstitious gula tradition to ward off evil spirits, strict historic preservation boards now aggressively mandate this specific color. You are legally required to paint your porch ceiling a soft, ghostly blue, whether you believe in wandering phantoms or not. It is essentially government-enforced ghost hunting via architectural paint codes. 44. If you look closely at residential neighborhoods in heavily populated Japanese cities, you will notice that almost all the houses feature bizarrely angled or dramatically slanted roofs. This is not some trendy architectural choice. It is legally mandated by the Nishoken, which translates to the absolute right to sunshine. The local building code strictly dictates exactly how many hours of shadow your new house is allowed to cast on the adjacent property. Architects are forced to physically slice off corners of the building design just to legally comply with the sun's trajectory. 45. Installing a stylish spiral staircase might look incredibly chic in your new loft, but standard building codes actively hate them. The International Residential Code dictates that spiral stairs can only be used as a secondary means of escape, never the primary one. Furthermore, the tread depth is regulated to such an extreme millimeter that custom metal stairs almost always fail inspection. You are paying a premium for a gorgeous architectural centerpiece that the government officially considers a dangerous tripping hazard. 46. Tearing up your thirsty lawn and replacing it with maintenance-free artificial grass seems incredibly smart, especially during a brutal drought. Yet, in many wealthy American suburbs, installing fake turf is totally illegal. Local zoning boards claim that plastic grass looks incredibly tacky and permanently ruins the historic, natural aesthetic of the street. The government literally forces you to waste thousands of gallons of expensive water just to keep a useless patch of real green grass alive for your neighbors to look at. 47. Usually, strict zoning laws dictate exactly how close you can build to a property line. But in the early days of Massachusetts, bizarre loopholes allowed for the completely legal creation of spite houses. If you were furiously angry at your neighbor, it was perfectly legal to build a 10-foot wide, incredibly uncomfortable wooden structure right against their property line, purely to block their ocean view. While modern building codes have finally tried to stop this, these ridiculously skinny, legally approved monuments to petty anger still stand today as fully functional homes. 48. Adding a simple skylight to brighten up your dark, depressing hallway seems harmless, but it drastically alters your roof's legal snow load capacity. In northern states like Maine, cutting a hole for a skylight means you must legally reinforce the surrounding roof rafters with incredibly expensive, heavy-duty lumber. The city assumes the smooth glass will cause snow to violently slide and crush whatever is underneath. Let there be light, but only if you are ready to pay for serious structural engineering. 49. Building a new house in the volcanic landscapes of Iceland might actually require a supernatural consultation. Before laying a foundation, builders frequently have to ensure they are not disturbing the hidden elves. While not a strict national code, local building projects and major highway renovations have been legally delayed or totally redesigned simply to avoid crushing a boulder that locals believe is an elf church. You literally have to hire experts to design your expensive floor plan around invisible, magical neighbors. All right, we have covered 49 points, and there is only one final rule left. But before we hit number 50, it is time for the final verdict. In our opinion, the award for the most unbelievable rule from today's list goes to the 1992 federal mandate that accidentally turned regular homeowners into black market toilet smugglers. Simply because the mental image of a respectable American suburbanite running an underground cartel just to sneak a fully functional Canadian toilet across the border is pure comedic gold. Do you agree with our verdict? Or did another point earn that dubious honor? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And now, our final number. 50. If you decide to build a massive modern home with a totally flat roof in Denver, Colorado, you are legally required to become an amateur gardener. To combat urban heat and manage stormwater, local building codes demand that large new buildings feature a green roof. You cannot just lay down cheap black tar. You are legally forced to cover your roof with expensive soil and living plants. Are you really prepared to climb up a dangerous ladder every single weekend just to weed your roof like a standard vegetable patch? Bureaucracy has officially turned homeownership into a massive legal trap. Do you think the government should have the absolute right to dictate what you do on land you legally paid for? Or should zoning laws be completely abolished? Let me know your stance below. Drop a like if this made you appreciate your house a little more, and hit subscribe before the city council bans that too.